And yeah, I think this chart tells a great story. We've had two massive waves of long-term holder sell side. In 2017, which was the all-time largest sell side event we've ever seen, 3.1 million Bitcoin that reached 6 months of age were then transacted. Now, some people will say, oh, but not all of that is sell side. That's true. It doesn't really matter because see how they seem to sell in bull markets?
Uh-huh.
It's good enough. Not everyone consolidates the UTXOs on the same day at the all-time high. It's just not how the world works. But we've had two waves of this sell side, 3.25 million. Now, you could probably say that in each cycle, in 2017, some of those coins were moving because they were trying to take advantage of the Bitcoin Cash fork. True. Some of those coins in 2021 were remargining and putting collateral into their position. True. Some of those coins may have been sell spot, buy ETF. True. But see how you've got these dynamics in every single cycle? And therefore, if you took an average, it's probably the same. Every cycle has got its own characteristics, but long-term holders buy in bears, they sell in bulls. And this chart just tells that story. So in my view, you actually don't need a price suppression narrative to explain why the market didn't go higher. You just have to look at the 10,000 Bitcoin per day. It was up to 40,000 at the peak being sold by these guys, right? And take a knife to it, cut it in half. That's 20,000 Bitcoin. Compare that to the ETFs. The ETFs just disappear in scale, right? So I don't think you need price suppression at a macro scale to explain this. But every sold Bitcoin is a buyer, right? There's someone else on the other side of that equation. And this is what I think these people are missing. We've just seen 52% of all dollars ever invested in Bitcoin willing to buy above 90K. That's the most bullish shit in the world. Yes, short term, we've got to deal with some chopping around. That's an incredible stat, right? That's the demand profile that we're dealing with. It's unreal.
Yeah. Now, this kind of sell-off is something you predicted a little bit. So last month in your newsletter, you basically wrote two possible scenarios, and I think you favored the idea that we'd probably sell off before we end up going higher. What did you see that made you think that?
This is just how markets work. I've just seen this play out so often. Markets, I call it a slingshot. Basically what happens is everybody accumulates up in this zone. And by the way, I've got plenty of coins that I've accumulated up in that 90K zone. When we look at the supply profile, the vast majority of people who've bought above 90K have bought between 90 and 95. These are people buying the lower bound of the range, not FOMO buyers at 108. There's some of those, but not most. Most are buying at 90 to 95. But more often than not, markets have to go counter trend sometimes. And what it does, it gets all the speculators and the weak hands to flush out. If you were a sophisticated institutional investor, these are the moments when they actually go, thank you very much, Mr. $1 billion of being wrong. This is where they start to accumulate, right? Some people will say that's price suppression to market manipulation. I would say that's markets. Sometimes the market has to go lower. You get all the speculators washed out. And then the next level is as the market sells off, the speculators go, now Bitcoin's going to zero. I'm going to go levered short. And they always do this on the final leg, and they create this they become buy-side pressure when the market goes against them, and you get the short squeeze. So this is just how markets tend to work. Similarly, when we had that second rally to 108K when Trump launched his meme coin, very often are very clean, just it's chopping sideways, let's just break higher. Very rarely does it do that and stick the landing. It usually goes up, says, oh shit, maximum disappointment, maximum pain, nobody was expecting this, how could you see it? And then it does go higher. And what happens is all the people who were correct to be going long, they sell at the bottom. We see all their losses happen. They're the signals I look for. I want the dumb money to be selling at a massive loss, in panic, in fear, to me, so I can then ride that wave higher. It's just how markets work.